Coming up on Mountain News this morning, dueling narratives in Minneapolis after an ICE agent opens fire on a woman's SUV, killing her. We have more on the investigation. And Governor Andy Beshear gave his annual State of the Commonwealth address last night. We'll catch you up.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm McKinley Calandrino here with you on this Thursday, January 8th. The time is now 6 a.m. Let's check in with First Alert meteorologist Megan Desmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, good morning. What can we expect for the rest of the day?
Well, it's going to be a foggy start for some folks, but many folks are looking nice and calm as you're heading into your Thursday. In fact, here's a look at the visibility again, not looking too bad, but as you head towards Wayne County, West Virginia, we are looking at some dense fog that's been moving around this morning. So we have that advisory set out in place again, Wayne County, West Virginia, that we're watching that. But in terms of the cloud cover, it really just going to be a cloudy day all day long. Between partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies is what you can expect, with temperatures in the morning a little chilly. We're talking 30s, 40s, but by the time we head into the afternoon, it's definitely feeling warm. I mean, high temperatures for the day will be in the upper 60s for many folks, hitting 71 as that forecast high in Manchester. McKinley.
This morning, growing questions after a federal immigration agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis yesterday. In eyewitness video, ICE agents in Minneapolis began to surround a red SUV as the driver is ordered out. The truck appears to reverse, then pull away. Another agent fires into the SUV, killing the driver, identified as 35-year-old Renee Good, a U.S. citizen. The Department of Homeland Security is calling the shooting self-defense.
I hear 3 gunshots, and then I hear a car crash.
Our officer followed his training.
The ICE agent who shot Good has not yet been identified. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the agent was taken to a hospital for treatment and then released. Large amounts of fentanyl, multiple guns, and a significant amount of cash. That is what the Huntington police in West Virginia found after executing 3 search warrants on Tuesday. Nigel Coates, Wesley Cornish, and Xander Byram were arrested. The Huntington Fight Crime Drug Task executed search warrants throughout multiple areas in the city. Coates, Cornish, and Byram were all arraigned and are all in the Western Regional Jail. Americans are split on the U.S. removing Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro from power. That's according to new CBS News polling. Most reported the Trump administration has not yet clearly explained the plans for Venezuela. This and the U.S. seized 2 more tankers in the White House's blockade of Venezuela's oil exports. CBS' Jared Hill has the details.
Under the cover of dark, U.S. troops Wednesday carried out more high-stakes takeovers of 2 sanctioned oil tankers.
The oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless vessels continues.
The Trump administration says the seizures give the U.S. leverage over Venezuela's interim government after the ousting of Nicolas Maduro.
They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States.
In a new CBS News poll, Americans are split on whether they approve of the U.S. taking military action to remove Maduro. But 70% say the Trump administration has not done enough to clearly explain the plans regarding Venezuela. President Trump, in an interview released overnight with the New York Times, wouldn't offer a definitive timeline for how long the U.S. should be directly involved in Venezuelan affairs. Quote, "Only time will tell," he told reporters.
We need answers as to how long this is going to last. We need answers to how many troops, how much money. Are there guardrails?
Meanwhile, President Trump says he did speak with Colombian President Gustavo Petro Wednesday, posting Petro called to explain the situation of drugs and other disagreements.
No podemos bajar la guardia.
We can't let our guard down yet, Petro told supporters after accepting an invitation to meet with President Trump at the White House. Jared Hill, CBS News.
The U.S., meanwhile, is doubling down on plans to acquire Greenland. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he plans to speak with leaders of Denmark and Greenland next week. Yesterday afternoon, Dr. Stephen Stack, the Secretary for the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services, weighed in the new vaccine recommendations for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The new federal guidelines recommend fewer vaccinations for American children. Among the vaccines no longer recommended are those for hepatitis A and B, along with the flu. The HPV vaccine recommendation dropped from 2 doses to 1. Dr. Stack emphasizes these are just recommendations and local school vaccination requirements still apply.
In that context, what HHS says is irrelevant. It comes down to what either the state law or the school requires.
Last month, a Kentucky child died from the flu, and Dr. Stack says last year 288 children died across the U.S. from the virus. 90% were not vaccinated. The U.S. private sector saw a surge in hiring to close out the year. Payroll company ADP released data indicating the private sector added about 41,000 jobs in December. The gain was higher than expected, especially after a net loss of 29,000 jobs in November. Healthcare and education account for a large share of December's increase. Leisure and hospitality industries also saw solid job growth. A state representative filed 2 bills to expand abortion access in Kentucky. Democrat Lindsey Burks introduced the bills on Tuesday. One aims to amend the current law by changing what health departments and family resource centers can do. Her other bill would protect providers who encourage patients to go out of state for abortions. Governor Andy Beshear says Kentucky is strong, but there are concerns coming up. He spent a lot of his nearly hour-long message at the Kentucky History Center talking about accomplishments seen in the state, but again called on expenditures that have been a tough sell in the Republican-controlled legislature. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more on what Governor had to say in the annual address.
I'm very honored to introduce to you the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Not held in the Kentucky House, yet introduced by Silas House, Andy Beshear and the First Lady entered the Kentucky History Center for the State of the Commonwealth address.
The renovation is a reminder that our great democracy at times can buckle.
The traditional speech and budget address normally held in the state capitol was moved to the History Center, where Beshear again touted the state's successes since he's been governor.
I'm proud to say that no administration has created more. Last year, we delivered once again, announcing more than $10.5 billion in private sector investment and creating 9,600 new jobs.
Both House Speaker David Osborne and Senate President Robert Stivers released a joint statement following the speech saying they appreciated the governor's remarks and comments, but they say that the state of Kentucky is well positioned because of sound policies enacted by the Republican supermajorities. Few Republicans joined numerous Beshear supporters in listening to the speech in person.
You know, he seemed to put out his priorities to what they were. I came and listened with an open mind, but at the same time, we have to look at what her aspirations were versus what the reality is.
Beshear's budgets have always included mandated teacher raises, and this year is no different. He says he wants $150 million towards that, and again called for universal pre-K.
And the members of the General Assembly, we're able to work together on medical marijuana, to make sports betting legal, to protect horse racing and gaming in our horse industry. Surely we can come together for 4-year-olds.
Senate leadership has said that they're willing to work towards some kind of child care response, but they say there's not enough support for universal pre-K. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The General Assembly has until April 15th to plan and pass a new 2-year state budget. Yesterday, Daniel Cameron officially filed to run for Mitch McConnell's position. McConnell announced he plans to retire at the end of 2026. Cameron was the state's AG from 2019 to 2024. He was also the Republican nominee in the 2023 Kentucky gubernatorial election, losing to Democratic incumbent Andy Beshear. Cameron says he plans to visit all 120 counties in Kentucky to campaign. One of the topics he is pushing is for the country to secure the southern border.
We need to make sure that regardless of who is in the White House, that we secure that southern border, because securing that southern border means poison doesn't make its way into Kentucky and harms our people.
Cameron faces competition in the Republican primary from U.S. Representative Andy Barr and businessman Nate Morris, among many others. Democrat Amy McGrath officially filed to run for U.S. Senate, marking her second attempt at the seat. Other notable names on the Democratic side: Charles Booker and Pamela Stevenson.
And temperatures are a little bit chillier than they were yesterday morning, but still a tad warmer than where we should be for this time of year. So we're seeing a mixture of the 30s and for some folks, the low 40s as you're heading out the door. Now, we will see these temperatures slowly but surely warm up, and by the time we head into the afternoon, we'll be seeing a mixture of the 60s and most folks in the upper 60s at that. So it's going to get warm. Be prepared as you're getting ready this morning, and then also be prepared for a lot of clouds. You're probably not going to need those sunglasses today as we're looking at a mixture of partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. And we'll really just see the cloud cover increasing as we're heading into the evening hours. And as we head overnight, we do have that slight chance of showers that'll start to pick up, and then showers and storms for your Friday. McKinley.
All right, thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Coming up this week in Las Vegas, thousands of tech companies from around the world are showcasing new products. And it's no surprise, the focus is the future of AI living.